So you have to list out all your favorite games.
Hundreds a lot you thought, but there's no room to waste.
Even if you ponder it so very long, someone on the internet will tell you you're wrong.
Top 100 games
From the A to Z.
Top 100 games. Watch a timeline stream. Top 100 games. You'll enjoy it too.
Hello, everybody. Welcome out to the A-Team's continuing coverage of the top 100 games of all time. How louder can I poke the table? My name is Chris Yi.
Strong finger.
I'm Roy Cannaday.
I'm Wendy Yi. I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
All right, you're so calm. You're like jumping out of your
I'm
seat.
saving it for
As
my
soon as she
games.
says a game name, she'll be like, oh my goodness.
Most likely.
Yeah, that's
I'm
that's
trying
fair.
to hold myself back a little bit.
Let's all be a little bit more reserved. I will shake my clipboard less, as I really hated that sound. Actually,
That was awful, wasn't it?
It was
That
the
was awful.
worst.
That was offensive.
It was the
Some might
worst.
say.
I need
What's
something
the clipboard?
so overly negative.
It wasn't as bad as clapping. That's the worst.
There it is.
There's the ticket.
Especially right in the microphone.
So we're about to start our numbers 30 through 21.
Let's
And
do
we were
it.
all kind of discussing right beforehand that as we're getting closer, especially like these last three chunks, kind of, how did you say it? Like, not
I said if you were
defines
going,
us?
if you were, it's not defines us, but like if you were going to typecast me, it would be these top 30. So definitely the top 100. I really, really like them. There's obviously some of my favorites, my top 100. But if you wanted to put me in a little corner, these ones are the ones to be like, you like X kind of games.
Nobody puts Baby
Not
in the
for X,
corner.
though.
So the rest of the games are just garbage, is what
That
I
is
heard.
not what I said at all. They are the ones I like
100%.
very much, but they are maybe a little bit like on the outskirts of, kind of outliers to my mainstream taste.
But
There
if
you
you
go.
had to classify a corner of your house as not garbage, it would be this, and the other corner of your
No,
house.
again, that's not at all what I said.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying,
You are
is,
not understanding me at all. See, now.
I just need to get you riled up. Why don't we kick it off to number 30 before one of us gets hurt? Let's go.
Good plan.
My number 30 is a game that I feel like is a great distillation of something bigger. It's called Agricola. All creatures, big and small. I like this version more than I like the regular Agricola,
wow.
actually. The regular one doesn't make my list, but this is such a cool version where all you're doing is the animal part of it. It's a worker placement game, and you're building fences, and you're putting animals in there, and the animals, if there's two of them, they make children, just like in real life, and you cannot put a horse in the same pen as a cow, because just
They
like
will
in real
eat each
life,
other?
they will devour each other. Horses are relentless. A cow will eat you if it gets half the chance. I don't know. I've never.
Not the farm I grew up on.
Oh, okay.
Multi-use cows.
Well, we're from the
Multi-
city, so we know a lot about
Oh,
cows.
yeah, I will take your opinion.
Yeah, we're from Las Vegas.
Never.
No, this is great because it's so simple. It's a small little two-player game version of it. But what I really like is when you mix the expansion buildings in, because it takes a game that is a delightful and cheerful game that is that's pretty samey from one game to the next, and you can randomly throw in different specialty buildings, and that to me gives it a little bit more of that Agricola feel, where in the normal Agricola you have a hand of cards that you draft at the beginning, and that differentiates you from everybody else. In this one, there's just an array of special tiles that you can build, and that can change up from game to game. So I think that this version of it with the expansions, or if you buy the big box, which is what's pictured here, I think you're going to have an amazingly distilled but awesome worker placement game. That's why it's my number 30, Agricola, all creatures, big and small.
I think if we were to typecast Chris, I think that particular mechanism, the idea of being able to change a lineup at the beginning of stuff, is a very you thing.
Yeah, something that changes from one game to the next that makes you play a little differently. I love that.
Very nice. My number 30 actually kicked 2 games off of my top 100 to the point that I actually got rid of them from my personal collection even.
Because they were garbage.
Because they are garbage.
Wait,
Not
wait,
were.
wait.
They are currently garbage
Is
because
this
of this
game a cow or a horse that then ate the other game?
So this game is Dead Men Tell No Tales, and it kicked out both
Ooh.
Pandemic and Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
Oh, wow.
It combined both of those games, I think, into one solid game. So
There is fire in this game.
there is fire and there's pirates, but this game is such a cool thing because you are going into a pirate ship. You're pirates who are raiding another ship that has set on fire, and so you're trying to get in and get all these treasures and get out before the ship sinks. So again, Flashpoint Fire Rescue, because you're going in and you're kind of putting out fires, but bad guys are popping up, and it's very Pandemic reminiscent, where you take your turn and then the baddies take a turn. It's just the structure of the game feels very Pandemic, but it has that Flashpoint Fire Rescue where you're fighting this fire and it's a ship that's sinking, and it's so much fun. It's really, really tense. So yes, I love Dead Men Tales No Tales, and it replaced 2 games, both on my top 100 and in my personal collection, and I
wow.
have no regrets.
That is a really
And
cool way to use the dice, is that they're the level of the fire.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So like in
That's
in
a top 10
Flashpoint,
list right there.
yeah. So there you go. So yeah, in
Awesome
Flashpoint,
dice.
how you have the smoke becomes fire, and
Right.
the fire spreads and explodes. It has the same mechanism here, where the fire explodes if it gets to a certain point, and so you're constantly pipping up and down the dice. Again, similar to Pandemic, where you're taking off 1 or 2 disease cubes. Here, you're playing and manipulating the fire, and depending on your current strength and stuff, is what rooms you can go into. How hot a fire and things like that. So it's really, really fun. I like it. Yeah.
Super excited
like
Camilla's back. We
No,
mentioned
that was
fire.
pretty calm, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I did good on that one. I kept one foot on the ground.
The energy's definitely there. I think this should be recalled
was
Dead
straight
Board
fire.
Games Tell No Tales,
Dead board games.
because it's murdered board games. All right, so my number 30 is Cooper Island. This is a super, super tight Euro game. It's a worker placement game, and what's really interesting about it is just how tight it is. You're building up resources. I know Chris talked about this. This was a crossover from him, but you're building up resources level-wise. So there's a lot of going on level with the game, and the resources on top, they then become whatever amount of resources that is. But if you take it off and you put it in like your little ship's hull, it's only worth 1. It's so fascinating. Your hull's really tight, and so there's so many things that you can do, so many strategies in a very, very, can I say tight again? I think I'm going to say tight again. In a very tight atmosphere for this game. I don't know. It's just a lot of fun, and it's hard. It's one of those that like you start out and you're like, okay, I can do 1 and maybe 2 strategies, and I'm just going to try to figure out how to make this work. I think Camilla would hate this game, 100%. It's
pretty,
one of those. It's
really?
one of those that like you have very few actions, and when you take an action, sometimes you have to take an action just to get like another tile and some money, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Oh, okay.
this is like, I just spent an entire turn doing almost nothing, but I need that so that I can do something greater next turn, like something big and really progress.
Yeah. I can see when you
The
getting
end game
frustrated.
victory point options, you almost never reach them. Like you have to very focus in, and then you might get like the first level of it and get just a handful of victory
yeah,
points
that sounds...
to like fully go like full bore into some of these end game scorings. It's tough. It's tight. I think 35 is like one of the max points that you can get in this game, or something like that.
Does the ship ever catch fire?
No fire. No fire.
Yeah, I'm not
Until
sure.
you
I'm not sold.
combine your 2 picks
Yes.
into
Yes.
Cooper Island Tells
And
No Tales.
Camilla's game eats my game.
It eats your game?
Yes, it does. It'll eat my game with fire.
Oh,
But yeah,
good.
I really enjoy Cooper Island. There's just so much awesomeness about it. So that's my number 30. Also, was it on my list before? It was not on my list before.
New to the list. My number 30 is a cooperative game, a deck building game, and it has Marvel superheroes. This is Marvel Legendary. This is a game that's been on my list for years and years, and I've enjoyed playing this game so much. I definitely have a blast playing it. I have so many expansions for Marvel Legendary that add so many different superheroes in. I really just enjoy the way that you cooperate and work together to gain these different heroes and then take out the villains and then hopefully take out the mastermind. There's all sorts of different schemes and different plots that the bad guy can be doing, so the game can feel extremely different every single time you play it. I basically never play with the same stuff twice. It's just always different characters, different things mixed up, different superheroes added into the game, and it's just the same mechanics that you have in a lot of deck building games. You're recruiting stuff, you're using the combat to fight off guys. It's really simple and easy to play. I kind of have used this as like a welcoming game in the past, like getting people into board gaming, playing Marvel Legendary with people that aren't normally into board gaming. I really enjoy playing it, and it's cool to have just so many characters for this game. It's ridiculous. And they're still coming out with expansions. Like, Tom just reviewed a few new expansions like the other week. It's like, holy smokes, there's so much Marvel Legendary. I haven't been able to play all of it, but I've definitely enjoyed what I have played. It's been a blast. So
I've only played the Aliens one.
yeah.
When did I play it? And
This one is a lot more casual and stressful, less stressful than the Aliens one. And
I
you
died
can
like
kind
the
of,
third round in the Aliens
yeah,
one.
you can kind of like tailor your experience, like the difficulty level in this one a lot more than you can with the Aliens. If you want to go for something crazy hard, you can be like, okay, let's fight Galactus or Thanos, or you can play like the Red Skull, and you'll probably almost always beat him.
what a loser.
Yeah, I mean his head is red. That's all he really has, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Someone said this is the 6th Marvel game. I was thinking this was like the 10th, so I must be counting wrong.
Nope. I mean, yeah. I mean, people have been like, oh, how many space games are there going to be?
Right.
There's way less than we thought there would be. How many Marvel games are there
Yep.
going to be?
Again,
Well, I
this
mean,
is
you
where
know.
we start to see the typecasting, right? Like this is
right.
starting to.
This is your last Marvel game, though, on your list.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, Marvel Legendary, my number 30. Grab some.
All right, my number 29 also comes in a small square box, just like my number 30, Agricola Creatures Big and Small, which, by the way, moved from 61 to 30, so that was a good jump for it. My number 29 is new to the list. It is Mandala, a crossover with Wendy. Fantastic card game. She described it very well last time, where you're playing cards out into these two circles in front of you, trying to complete thematically the mandalas, right, and score them up. I love the fact that as you collect cards, they become, as you collect more unique color cards, they become worth a stronger endgame multiplier, but then it's trickier to get more of those higher scoring multiplier cards as the game gets closer to the end. And so this is a fantastic little head-to-head card game. There's a lot of these little two-player card games like this. This one somehow feels the most unique, and yet it only has 6 types of cards. Red cards, purple cards, blue cards, and I love that. So my number 29, Mandala.
Nice. All right. My number 29 is a card game, which is not. Okay, if you asked me a year ago, I would have said like straight card games are not really my thing. Like there are, of course, some exceptions to that, which we'll go through. But this is probably the first one I played where I was like, oh, okay, maybe I do like card games, and it kind of like helped open that whole. I guess category open to me, up to me, you know. And this one is Fort. I think this has risen so high because I have been playing. I played it recently, you know, with the Cat and Dogs expansion that came out, which, you know, was fine. But just the plain base box Fort, I really, really enjoy. I think the thing that sells me on this one specifically is the choice on your turn which card from your hand or which friends you're going to use, you know, and play with. But whatever ones you don't play with have to go out in front of you for other people to maybe recruit, right? You know, if you don't play with your friends, they're going to go find someone else to play with maybe, you know. And I really just think that that's just a really neat decision in order to, like, I want to play this one, I want to use this guy here for this specific ability, but I really don't want to use this person or lose this person or someone to take him, you know. And I love that idea, and maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't, but a little bit of that, it's not quite push your luck, you know, but kind of those tense moments where you're like, oh, but this is such a good card, or I just recruited it and I haven't had a chance to play with this new friend that I just recruited. And it's got pizza and toys that you're going through to build up your fort. I mean, just this theme is adorable. It's so much fun. So 29 I think was the first, what I call kind of a more pure card game, you know, that really was like, oh, okay, maybe I like these more than I thought, you know. Typically I am more of the I want the minis and the fighting and the combat, you know, that kind of stuff, again, as we see on my top 30 here. But this one kind of opened up that whole category for me because of that. It's got a real special place, and I really enjoy getting it to the table.
The pizza alone makes me really interested in alone makes me really interested in trying this one.
You haven't played it yet?
I have.
Because you just
It's
want
like-
to eat pizza?
It's like a little card combo building thing.
Right.
It sounds cool. I like that idea of it almost reminds me of Ethnos, of like what I don't use I have to share.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, there's
a
a
little
couple
bit of
games that do that, and I think it's really well done in here because it also might come back to you. You don't know, you know. And so it's that deck builder. It has a lot of opportunities. I've spoken deck building before. I like to keep a lean, thin deck, you know, and really know what I'm working with. And this has a great, I think, ratio of cards, you know, getting rid of, or but you can also customize and go maybe more fort heavy, and I really like those combos that you can set up with this and the customization throughout the game.
Very cool.
So yeah, number 29, Fort.
Awesome. My number 29 is Istanbul Dice. This is a dice game based on a game that I also really love and hasn't shown up yet. Hint, hint, wink, wink, maybe nudge, nudge. So Istanbul Dice, you're rolling dice and you're taking 2 actions out of what dice face show. So you may be collecting goods that you are going to hopefully trade in for rubies, or money you're going to trade in for rubies, or you're building cool buildings that give you powers that let you roll more dice or do more awesome things. It's a very clean, and it makes me feel a lot of the feels that I get from Istanbul, but in a much smaller, simpler, quicker package. And so really appreciate that. Love it. Yeah, Istanbul Dice. Was this on your list, Chris?
No,
It
no. It was on my list previously.
Okay, it was on my list previously, and it's actually moved up. It was number 56, and now it's 29.
And this one fell off
impressive.
for me. I really like it. I really like that. Unlike most like the dice games, you roll the dice once, and that's what you work with. There's not like the Yahtzee triple roll thing. So there's other ways of mitigating it. It's really clever.
Oh,
But you
gotcha.
can't
I think I just
really
don't play
can't
it.
ever use all the dice. I mean, you can, but there's rare circumstances where you can use all the dice anyway.
Yeah,
so
use
it
some
still gives good
combo.
choices.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I still like it a lot. It's just not on my list at this point.
I just think it's really clean, and there's some really cool stuff going on. There's also moments where you get to interact on other people's turns. You get it, like I get a special ability, but Chris gets like a smaller version of that.
I like
So
that.
there's
I like
fun
that.
stuff going on. Not Roy. When he plays, he doesn't get extra special abilities.
Roy doesn't
Sorry.
play.
Roy's like, hard pass.
Right, like the boring looking guy on the cover? Nah.
All right, so Istanbul Dice is 29.
My 29 is actually a crossover with Chris that he guessed would be on my list, and he was right! This is Kemet, Blood and Sand.
Chow, chow, chow!
This is an area control game, and like Chris said, you can build up different technologies and get out all these different cool monsters and things like that, but you're able to kind of combo that stuff together as you're building up your pyramids to different levels to unlock those things. But another thing that I really like about this game is you're racing to a certain number of points, but there's different like obelisks and things like that that'll give you points. You can win combats to get permanent points, or you can control areas on the board that are going to give you points while you control them. So the back and forth of like attacking each other and taking the obelisks back and forth from each other and trying to figure out ways to get permanent points, but also figure out ways to get enough temporary points to push you across the edge to actually win the game. I really enjoy the card combat because I just enjoy those combats where you're trying to outthink your opponents. Like, okay, they've already played this card and they've already played that card. Maybe they're going to take cards back this time. Maybe they actually really want to win this combat. Sometimes you lose a combat on purpose just to get some things back. You know, there's a lot of exciting moments in Kemet like that that I really enjoy. And it's just a game where you're just always in each other's face the whole time. It's a blast to play. I like area control games where you actually get to like get out there and like take over each other's areas instead of just sitting back and being like, okay, well I put
Roy,
one more cube out.
getting in your face right now.
I know.
Take it.
It's great. I love it. I mean, it's fun because you can try to go after whoever you think is currently winning the game. It's a blast, and you can easily see that. So,
What's happening with that obelisk?
they are fighting over it. That's
But like,
happening.
what's the green?
Oh, you
That,
can,
that's victory points, but they're temporary victory points, and they're raising up to heaven. You know,
think you
the
can-
heaven of the afterworld.
maybe they're teleporting into it, because that's the other
Is that
thing
what
is
it is?
you
Okay.
can teleport across the board from your home space.
Yeah,
You can teleport to the obelisks around. So when Roy says you're in each other's faces,
you're in there.
like you and I are across the map from each other, bazzoom,
And you're, like,
until
In your
yeah.
bubble.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the game kind of lets you go after whoever you think needs to be gone after. It's like, oh, Tom's about to get that last point he needs to win, which would never happen. But if that did happen, you could go in there and smash and take him out, you know, that sort of thing. Anyway, Kemet, my 29, Smash, Blood and Sand.
My number 28, unsurprisingly, is a crossover with Wendy. It is a big, heavy game called On Mars. This is one of my favorite Vital Lacerda games. This
One's
one,
high.
this one's really high.
But
for
I know
me.
you like this one more than I do.
Yeah, I agree. That's you just said a statement of fact, so I agree.
Fact,
Birds can
statement
fly.
said.
I agree. No, so On Mars is a lot of people consider to one of Vital Lacerda's most complicated games. But I think I like this one so much because everything just
Complicated for Lacerda. Ooh.
yes.
Carry
yeah.
on.
But for whatever reason, compared to his other like more complex games, this one just speaks to me, and I think I understand everything thematically, and so everything gels better. You are trying to do a lot of different things, complete different objectives, build up Mars, get lots of resources, train up new workers and stuff, build up your life support system, and you're just moving up tracks, collecting stuff, turning it into other things, getting points.
Moving cute little robots.
Moving cute builder bots and stuff. It's got a lot of things that I just like, and like I said, this one speaks to me, and it doesn't hurt either that I think it's really gorgeous looking. So that's my number 28, on Mars. And I will teach it to you someday, Roy, if you desire.
Space.
Yeah, Mars is definitely not that
Jesus,
easy to colonize, so it makes sense. It's very thematic in that way.
Yes.
It's difficult.
It would be difficult, yeah.
My number 28 is another card game. It is The Lost Expedition. This game is, I played it with 2, I played it solo, and 3, and I want to say I've liked it at all those player counts, so I think it's very versatile in that way. This kind of gives me a very simplified Robinson Crusoe, The Adventures on the Cursed Island kind of feel,
okay.
because you are cooperatively trying to go through the jungle in order to reach the whatever the name of the city is, not Atlantis.
El Dorado?
El Dorado. Yes, you're trying to find El
Nice.
Dorado. And so you all have a handful of cards, and there's 2 different phases to it, night and day. And so when you're in the night phase, you're laying those cards out one by one in numerical order. And when it's nighttime, you do very similar things, but there's a card, and you can either play to the beginning or the end of the line. And then once everyone's laid their cards out, you have to go through card by card and try to survive that day of hiking, which will then get you to El Dorado. And I really think that this has such during that night and day phase when you're laying the cards down, there's no communication. So you're all quiet and you're sitting there looking at your cards, and each card has a symbol on it that might give you food or it might injure you. And so you're trying to balance your injury and your health and your explorers versus we have to have enough food to get through, so maybe I'll play this card down and we'll come across a snake, and depending on what the other people play, we'll decide, are we going to take an injury and kill the snake, which gets us food, or are we just going to skip it and bypass it, which then skips other cards or adds additional cards that are unknown because we took a longer path around. So there's a lot of really interesting decisions that you're doing the best you can to lay these cards down in this path. But then when you actually go on the path, you're like, oh, we're in trouble, hold on. And then you can all talk, and you're sitting there, you're counting, you're like, if we do this and this and this, but all to try to go through all these phases and make the city of El Dorado. I found this to be really interesting, really tense, really difficult, but it is winnable at the same time. I really, really like this game. And again, when I want that kind of exploration feel, but that responding to hard things that come along through the game with a high level of cooperation, this is one of my go-tos. And you walk away with some really neat stories. You know, if you've heard me say once, you've heard me say it 15 times, I really like games that win or lose, you walk away with a story like, oh, remember that one time we were so close, we were like one day away from making El Dorado, but then we hit that jaguar and, you know, we just didn't have any bullets left to shoot it, so we had to take the injury, which killed, you know, it's just some really, really interesting stories that are off the wall and kind of bizarre and a lot of fun. So I really enjoy The Lost Expedition.
Good stuff. No, it sounds like it's one of those games where someone has to hold their own. They can't just,
Yeah.
because they're picking their cards and stuff.
Right, yeah.
I also like the sentence, yeah, we were doing fun until we hit that jaguar.
We hit that jaguar, the jaguar ambushed us, and we're like, oh no, we don't have bullets, and there's no way around him, so he ate us. And then we died of a spider bite, you know, the next day or whatever. So yeah, it's just ridiculous things.
When I hit a jaguar, it's usually in a car. I mean, the jaguar is a car, and I've never hit one. Just kidding.
So that would be bad.
That would be terrible.
We have the insurance statements to prove that that's never happened.
It's just the only jaguar I ever would hit if it happened. All right, my number, what are we on, 28? My number 28 was 13 before, so it's gone down a little bit, but I still absolutely love this game, and this is Oh My Goods. This is a little card game, crossover with Chris, and it is about making goods. So you've got these little buildings in front of you that you're going to work with your worker, and you flip over cards every round, and it's kind of whenever you see 2 symbols on the cards that pop up, that's what you get for that round. And then you kind of have this push your luck option. Say, am I going to work efficiently where I get to have double the goods come out with my little worker, or am I going to work inefficiently but be able to have like minus a resource necessary because maybe I don't know what's going to come out. So then you lay out another set of cards and go for like the 2 little sun resources that are on some of the cards. And so there's this fascinating little push your luck, but because you have the choice of like, I'm going to work efficiently or inefficiently, there's nothing detrimental about it. Like there's not that moment where you're like, oh my goodness, I lost the game because I missed producing one round.
Oh my good.
Like it doesn't feel that way. And so I think that that's such a cool little mechanism. And also I know you mentioned the slaughtering of cows to make shoes and whatever. It's really cool, the supply chain idea that, you know, if I have enough cow resources, I can trade them in for money and just sell meat and leather and whatever. Or I can turn it into shoes, which are worth even more if I can get that to work around and stuff. So it's really cool, and the multi-use cards of a very like small deck is great.
I forgot
Tons
this
of
is
good
where
stuff.
multi-use cows came from.
Yes.
You're right, yeah.
I love
Multi-use cows.
Yeah. All right, that's my number 28. Oh my goods.
All right, my 28 is a cooperative game with a hidden trader. This is one of the first games that when I was coming into like hobby board gaming, I'd played tons of Magic and D&D and stuff like that, and card games. But when I like full on went into board gaming, this is one of the games that helped like be like, board games can do this. This is Shadows over Camelot. Shadows over Camelot is a game where you're basically working together if you're like on the Camelot side, and you're trying to basically fulfill different quests. There can be ones where you're just trying to like get a straight of cards, or you're trying to have a full house of cards, and it feels very much like poker hands as you're playing the game. But the theme comes through in the fact that like bad things are happening to you at the end of each round, catapults are coming out, and all this stuff is happening. And it's just very interesting as you're like working together, trying to like exchange cards or like go to the different places to fill out the stuff and work together to put the things out. There's a place where you're just discarding cards to try to like bring the sword to you closer and closer. But the game always ramps up and comes right down to the edge on whether you're going to win or lose. I play this game as a good guy and constantly trying to figure out how to mitigate all of the bad stuff that's happening in the game, and then play it as the bad guy and just secretly sitting there just trying to add a little bit of inefficiency in there and just have people get super annoyed at the end of the game when you review your stuff as the trader. It's a blast to play. It's a game where, hidden trader game where there isn't necessarily a trader depending on how you shuffle the deck up. So nobody could be the trader. So it just kind of adds that weird tension of like that extra hidden level. It's like, oh, none of us are the trader this game. That's crazy. Except the one guy that is, you know. It kind of makes it sort of interesting. So I love Shadows over Camelot. It's been a blast playing it. I know it's a really hard game to get right now, but if you haven't played it, it's a lot of fun.
It's so sad when you you lose the game. You're like, okay, who is the traitor? Everyone's like, oh no, we just straight up.
There was totally a game I played at Tabletop Day back in the day when I like taught it to everybody. We were playing I think like a 7-player game or something like that. So we knew that there was a traitor in there, or I think it was one away from there being a traitor in the game or something like that. Anyway, and we ended up playing the game, and this is one where you can add people in and out, so it's kind of cool. But we played to the very end, and I was the traitor the whole time, just kind of like adding a little bit of inefficiency in there. I'm like, cool, well, we win the game, because if there's a traitor, 2 of the black swords flip over. I was like, we win the game as long as there's no traitor in the game. Are you a traitor? Are you a traitor? Are you a traitor? Oh, good, awesome. Wait, here's my card. Sorry, guys.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't forgive me for that.
That is a very Roy move. Like
it was a lot of fun.
Oh,
but yeah, I've had a blast with this game, and I love Shadows over Camelot. So my 28, don't be a traitor. I'm never am. So
Always.
no.
All right. 27 for me was once 23, so very, very, very small change. This is a fantastic leaps and bounds. A fantastic 2-player card game called Jaipur. This kind of fits in that same classification of game, genus of game, as like your mandalas and your lost cities and stuff. But this one's always kind of been my favorite. You are just trying to make sets of cards in your hand and play multiple cards of the same set to grab those little cool poker chip type things on the side, which are worth decreasing amounts of points. I tend to like games like this in Barron Park, where there's cool little races that you're trying to compete on, but there's so many things that you're racing for that you are, I want to maximize what I can do, but I get bigger rewards if I get bigger sets of cards, if I can get 3, 4, 5 of a kind. But sometimes I'll just sell off 2 cards to grab the highest victory point chips so that my opponent can't get them. This game has some nice subtlety to it, but it also feels somehow familiar while still being just absolutely engaging. I love these little type of card games that they're not confrontational, but there's a lot of, you're staring at your opponent thinking, are you holding 2 red rubies or not? Should I play mine or keep drawing cards? So if you like that type of thing, people often refer to this as couples games and stuff. This is a great one.
It's a good little 2-player game.
That's my number 27.
Oh, was that one? I thought you were going to say something more. I was like, I got nothing on this one. All right, my number 27 is my dexterity for this chunk. Oh, I love this game so much. My number 27, I think it was a crossover with you. Did you have flip ships? Or did you?
No.
I had flip ships.
Roy had flip ships.
Yes.
Oh, I love flip ships. I love playing flip ships at conventions. I love playing flip ships at home. I love playing it at work. I love flip ships. Flip ships.
Say it 10 times fast.
Flip ships. That's all you're getting. Just one. Flip Ships is one of those too. It's one of those dexterity games that I think as you're playing it, you see yourself getting better. Like that first round when you're launching your ship off the launch pad and you're like, it goes like 15 feet in the wrong direction. You're like, sorry, guy. Can you throw that back? You know, you gotta like go collect your ships. And by the end, you're like just nailing the mothership, you know. It's so much fun. So there's a mothership out that's approaching the city and has all these spaceships that they're sending down to Earth. And so you have these discs which represent your ships and you're trying to flip them from the launch pad and hit the different ships and ultimately take out the mothership, which is, you can kind of see it right there. It's a little structure that you're trying to get it into the mothership. It is so much fun. It's, there's just, again, I love great moments and it's so tense and you're all there like rooting for each other, you know, as they're flipping the ships, but you also, you know, a lot of jokes come out. It was like, oh no, it's Chris's turn to shoot. Try to keep it on the table at least, Chris. That'd be great. You can do it, buddy. You know, like, it's just a lot of good moments come from this. It's so much fun. There's always a time in the game where you're like, this is unwinnable. You know, but let's keep going anyway. And again, you just see yourself getting better as you go through the game, and by the end, you're like, I'm amazing.
Well, you get more powers too with your different ships as you get more.
You
hurt,
do,
so.
and then as the game goes through, you have more interesting decisions. Like, okay,
oh,
should I
I'm
lose?
gonna use this ship this time and try to get that guy because I can do double damage on that. Yeah,
And this with that. Okay, I need this level 3 ship over here because it can take out those four.
Min-max
away.
dexterity flip ships.
It is so good. I love this game. It's so exciting every time.
Absolutely could move up on my list. I've only
Yes.
played the one time with you, and
Oh,
that
okay, where we
was so
played it.
exhilarating and so
Yes.
much fun that, yeah, I would happily keep playing this one, and I could see it moving up.
Fantastic.
I have not
It is
played
so good.
this.
Really? Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much
it's
fun. We
definitely
played on the
silly
cruise, which was a whole other thing. So it was like a really rocky night.
Yeah,
on the cruise. It's like, I got this one.
that's why I couldn't keep it on the table. Oh,
yeah, that is not
did you
why
see that
no.
huge wave that hit
yeah,
us?
yeah, that only Chris was
wasn't.
affected by. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Good excuses. Good
Right.
excuses.
So my number 27,
Shade
so much fun.
thrown.
Flip ships.
All right, my number 27 used to be my 68, so it has also moved up, and this is Blackout Hong Kong. The theme behind this game is that Hong Kong has lost all power. There's a big blackout for whatever unknown reason to me, and you're trying to basically like get the power back on, make sure that people have the emergency supplies that they need and all that kind of stuff. But also you want more notoriety as you do it over like everybody else at the table because you want to gain some power so that when Hong Kong, you know, gets back to normal, you've got some clout with everybody. But this has the really cool Mombasa kind of idea of you have 3 piles of cards, and so what you lay face up on each pile, you get to take those 3 actions and use those 3 cards. And then at the end of the round, you get to take one of those stacks of cards back. But there's interesting things that play with the colors, so you're trying to get colors in the right kind of order to unlock extra stuff or get more points. But also you want the specific actions so that you can get the resources that you need so that you can feed people and you can buy more worker cards because each card is like a little worker or helper that works for you. But yeah, I really enjoy what's going on with the card play. I enjoy what's going on the board, that you're trying to kind of outline regions with points, and so you can get cool stuff on the inside. You're searching because everything's dark, so you're searching for stuff. It's really cool, and I like the way it all comes together.
I really love the theme on this one. That is kind of this helpful. You're not cooperating by any means, but I don't know. The theme of it really works for me
Like a selfish
for a
helpful.
puzzly card game.
Yeah, I think it's so much fun, and I like the dark black of everything. It looks really cool.
What I was gonna say is, as a shallow gamer, I really, really like the look of it. Like that color or that cover, the color also is amazing.
Black is an amazing color.
Black, the color of my soul.
Yes.
The blood
right, so that
of
is mine.
angry man.
That's my 27. Blackout Hong Kong.
My 27 is a app-driven crime game, and this is Chronicles of Crime. This is a game that you're basically
Crossover.
trying to go through and figure out what happened in a story. And I just put the regular Chronicles of Crime version up here. I've played also the kids version. The Quest
Okay.
Kids one is fun too.
Have you played any of the Millennial
I
series?
haven't played any of
Millennium
them. I
series?
really want to
Okay.
play the. I did actually. I
avocado
played the
toast
one that
caper.
you had on your list. I played the one with the dog and everything.
Okay, the 1900.
But I just lumped them all together.
Right,
I just
yeah.
really enjoy the system in general. I mean, basically the way it works is you're scanning different things as you're going through clues and things like that. You're looking at different scenes and be like, okay, these are in there, and we're going to ask this person about these papers we found. We're going to, oh, there was a bottle that fell over. Let me ask this here. Oh, there's a fingerprints on this thing. Let's go ask this person about these things. You have like scientists and things like that you can ask questions to as well. It just adds this interesting flair and theme to the game. I mean, overall, you're really just trying to figure out what happened in the story and trying to like play it out. Once you get to the end, you're kind of like answering questions. I love how people can move from one location to another, and different things can kind of happen. It just brings the game to life. It just feels like you're an investigator trying to figure out these different things, and it's really exciting. And it's extremely accessible. The app makes it so that there's like very little teaching, very little any of that stuff. You can just jump straight into the game and start discovering things. So I've had a blast playing Chronicles of Crime.
Right, I've played quite a bit of it, and I feel like it's not one I am still always excited to get to the table. You know what I mean? Like it really, like a lot of these crime-solving games, you play it and you're like, oh, okay, cool, and you kind of cool on it. I think Chronicles of Crime, again, whichever one, it's one of those that I'm always willing to get into another one.
There's almost no barriers of entry to this game. Like, do you have a cell phone? Do you have the game? You can play the game. You basically barely have, the game just teaches you as you go.
The tutorial,
and it's just
a 20-minute tutorial.
So simple.
Right.
It's really, really easy to play and a lot of fun.
And to preempt all the comments, it's basically a video game. I don't care. It's awesome. What is it? It's an activity, not a game. I don't care. It's awesome.
Right. But it kind of mean like I
like to have fun with games, and this game is fun.
Right. But you also have to have the physical components, right? Again, like you said, because you can move people around. Or it's like, hey, we have a location, but we don't know where that location is yet. How do I get to the location?
And I love the cooperation that you have with the other players. As you're like, what do you think happened? Well, I think this happened. That sounds like a good idea. But what if it was this way? What if this person did instead because they're covering for that person? And you're like, oh.
And those leaps of logic. It has good leaps of logic that you have to make, but yet not such like I missed this clue, so this is unsolvable. Because it does wrap around itself.
It doesn't feel
at
all like an escape room style game. It feels very much like a just discovering stuff and exploring things. And
and again, making some assumptions and leaps, and Good
I think it also takes a lot of the fiddliness that a lot of detective games have, and just makes it simple and easy.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Chronicles of Crime, my number 27.
All right, 26. Do you want to talk about typecasting? Right.
I do want to talk about that, yes.
Yeah, I think it's really true that a lot of these games that somehow made it into my 30 and up are a lot of the games people would think of me. Think of me.
Think of me fondly.
Typecast. There's just no better word for it than that. So my number 26 is Escape Plan. This is my highest rated Vital Lacerda game on my list. I really like this one. This is the most approachable of his, and yet it's still sprawling and huge. But this game is so cool because you have already pulled off of a heist. You're a criminal in the underworld, and you and your friends all decide, you know what? It's time to book it. We got to leave town. We've got our money. We've got our money stashed away in various places. So even though it's a Euro game, it's a heavy, thinky Euro game. You're moving around trying to get your ill-gotten goods from the different businesses and illicit places that you've started, your hideouts, and then you need to escape by the third day. It's slow moving. This is not Ocean's 11, the board game. This is a really thinky, how do I maximize what I'm going to do and get all my stuff before I book it, but also the walls are closing in on me, as the game continues. So it's a cool theme. It's integrated in a good way. There are so many things that you can maximize. You talk about with Cooper Island, and this is something also in a lot of Lacerda games. Your main action per turn is one thing, but then I've got an array of like criminal executive actions. I got some criminals I can tap to get this little extra bit.
I'm gonna talk to this biking gang.
I'm gonna get a biker gang with me so that I can make some of these actions stronger because I got the Sons of Anachrony with me to kind of
Anachrony. Back from the Future.
Nice.
Yeah. And so for this type of weight of game and complexity, this is one that this is one that speaks to me so much. I love it.
This is the first one you showed me because it was your favorite at the time before we'd played more, and so it's still your favorite.
It's still my favorite, and I think part of it is that I'm more inclined to teach this to people than his other designs.
Okay, interesting. Maybe this is one I need to try too then. I've only tried a couple of his, but I'm always impressed by his theme in Euro games. Like a lot of times the the ones I've played, at least the mechanisms, if you think, you can see the theme and that's why I'm not just taking this action, but I'm taking this action because XYZ, you know, and so you can there's more of a connection with the rules, you know. And it sounds like that plays out in this as well, from what you were saying. So
yeah, for me it definitely does.
More interested. Very cool.
Very cool. My 26, Escape Plan.
So I don't know about y'all, but when the fellas were doing their top 100, I was
You were sleeping. Yeah.
I was sleeping,
Like,
yeah. I was like, Tom's busy. Fantastic. No. I was taking notes. I was doing the time stamping, and so I was taking notes anytime it was like, oh, that's an interesting one. You know, I want to try that one, you know, and made my list. And so this is one that came from the top 100 that I put down, and I asked Z to bring it in. It is Solenia. So I was like, I was really interested in this game, and I tried it, and I really, really liked it.
It's a pretty cover.
It's really pretty, isn't it? So pretty. And what I was fascinated when he was talking about this game by this moving board mechanism. So you can see there's two different colors, the light blue and the dark blue, and that's the day and the night. And so you have this blimp that's moving through the sky, and so it's going through the day side, and you see night coming, and then the night tile turns over and becomes more day behind you. You know, so you actually see the board transition from day to night, which brings about different actions. And so you're going through and you're trying to visit these different places, to collect different resources, to then fulfill contracts, all while the board is constantly changing. And depending on what action you take, you have control of how quickly the blimp is going and making the change. And I really liked the way all of that came together. One, it's gorgeous. Two, it's this changing board and trying to get what you need, but also kind of seeing what whoever you're playing with is going for, so that you're like, okay, they're probably going to be moving that blimp, so I really need to get enough water so that I can fulfill this contract. I don't think they're going for that contract. So it's just a lot. It's not overly thinky, but you definitely have to plan a couple moves ahead and know where you're going in order to be able to fulfill the contracts. And I thought I liked this game, and I did like this game enough to be my 26, Solenia.
Nice.
Very good.
Well, way to call it for yourself. That's awesome. Okay, my number 26 is viticulture. I'm including everything, essentially.
Essentially?
I didn't even go for that. You're awesome. So I have played mostly the essential version. Then we got Tuscany. We played some Tuscany. And just recently we played Viticulture World, which I didn't really add that into my rankings, but if I did, this would be higher, I think, because I really liked Viticulture World. But basically what you're doing is you're making wine, you're planting crops, you're making wine, and you're trying to sell it. It sounds very simple and easy, but it's this really cool worker placement game. And you've got this idea of like different seasons. And so you have workers, but sometimes in some of the versions, the workers can only work in certain seasons, like in Viticulture World. In other ones, you just have a certain amount of workers, and you have to make them last through both seasons or all 4 seasons, depending on which game you're playing. And it's just really interesting how that works. If you're like, oh, well, I really want to plant a bunch of stuff here in the spring, but then I will have nothing to do in the winter. Or, oh, I just have a lot of stuff I want to do in the winter, but I'm going to run out of worker placement spaces if I save all my guys to the end, because we're still fighting for those spaces. And then what I really, really enjoy, and I don't see this in a lot of worker placement games, is you have this grande worker. And so basically it's a larger meeple, it's a larger worker, and that person can go anywhere. It doesn't matter if someone's already there. And so you're always saving them. You're like, oh, I'm going to save this for something good when someone gets in my way, and I just really need to sell that contract. I really need to make those wines. And so it's really cool working with that. I love a lot about this game. And it's one that grew on me over the years. I didn't love it at first, and it just has really, we've played it so many times that it has become very high on my list, and even higher cooperatively. So that is Viticulture.
I need to try the cooperative one, because I think I would say, you said you love a lot of things about this game. I like a lot of things about this game. You know what I mean? But I'm wondering if the cooperative one wouldn't fix some of the issues that I had with it. You know,
because you like heavy, thinky, strategic co-ops like
it's
that.
very tight for a co-op game.
Is
it's
it?
very
Okay.
hard to win.
Yeah, then I wonder if interesting.
But I like it.
You love it. You
Viticulture
said.
World, 26.
My 26 is another crime-themed game, but this one is a social deduction game, and it's Deception Murder at Hong Kong. So Deception Murder at Hong Kong, you have one person that is a murderer. Every player has a bunch of basically like murder weapons or clues left behind at the scene, except one player is a forensic scientist. The murderer is going to pick one of the weapons and one of the items, and then the forensic scientist is going to be trying to lead the other players, the investigators, to who that person is, but people don't know who they are. So it'll be like cause of death or just a bunch of different adjectives that they're putting out there to try to help lead them to what those clues are. And each investigator has one chance to try to guess what the weapon was and what the clue was. And they have to get that perfectly right. So sometimes even if you find out who the murderer was, you don't necessarily know exactly how they did it. And if they didn't do it properly, or you don't know exactly how they did it, then you're still gonna lose the game. I've had so much fun playing this game. I played it with all sorts of different people. And it's just cool because it's one of those social deduction games where you actually have something to go off of. It's like immediately when the game starts, you're like, oh, they said this was a cause of death, loss of blood. Obviously, you have a machete over there. That's loss of blood. It's like, well, he has a needle over there. Maybe he stabbed him with a needle. Maybe that's why he was thinking blood or whatever. You know, there's all sorts of different reasons you can kind of like immediately jump into who you think the murderer is and immediately have something to go off of. And then the forensic scientists can't actually say anything. They're just sitting there trying to be like, oh crap, I put that clue out and that's messing them up. Let me get rid of that clue and put a different clue out so that way it fixes like the leaps in logic they're trying to make to figure out who it is. I've had so much fun playing this game. It's definitely by far my best favorite social deduction game. I've had so much fun playing it, Deception, Murder, Hong Kong.
It's on my Ketchupalooza list.
This is one that I don't know. Maybe it's just more
You
group
played it with
dependent.
the wrong group.
I played it with one, two, maybe three different groups. I played it more than 3 times, but
Really?
three different groups, and it's been fine every time. So I don't know. This is just one that
I've had so
we
much.
have not
It's
been
been
able to get into.
such a raucous time and like so much
Really?
fun playing it every single time. And there's been times where I was like the murderer, and I've been like, well, I did like trying to be coy about it, and they like are still trying to figure out exactly how I did it, just because the adjectives that the forensic scientist out there was putting wasn't leading them well enough to
Right.
exactly the right clue. It's like, I think this is the murder weapon, but what clue is it? And you only have so many votes. And then
Right.
also as the murderer, you're trying to like throw things off and be like, it's them, obviously. Let me do this. And you're like voting for things. It's like, oh, I obviously got the wrong
Right.
clue. Somebody else should vote on them also. It's got to be that clue instead. And you're the murderer the whole time trying to trick
Right.
people. And I've had games as a forensic scientist being like, boom, boom, boom. And people are like, it's them. Got them. And that's like really quick games.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a blast to play.
This is one of those that just confuses me. I'm like, I don't understand how I haven't had good plays based on. Other
Have you
people's
played
taste,
as a
too.
forensic scientist in this as well?
Yes.
It's so much
See, and
fun.
I
It's
don't.
so much fun.
I don't understand. Like, it's one of those. It baffles me.
How long ago
I
has it
have
been
to-
since you played it?
I've probably played it. I haven't played it since we moved here, so I mean, you're going on 8-9 months.
Gotcha.
You know, but I
Oh,
mean, I played
interesting.
it multiple times before
Crazy,
that. So
crazy.
I'm
I've had a blast with it.
Not everything
yeah.
lands with everyone.
Right,
yeah.
I'm truly baffled. Like, what is wrong with the plays I had? Kind of thing.
Everybody
you know
here
what I mean?
besides you
Like-
likes it, so
Right,
it's
I
obviously
mean,
I actually haven't
am
played
the
it. It just
outlier.
sounds
I
really
don't
maybe it's
understand.
just too true to real life for you, you know?
That's
It's like, you know how people don't want to play certain games that are like this is my everyday life? Like with
Oh,
you,
that's
the
true,
murders
yeah.
all the
I'm
time.
like,
It's
hey,
like, oh,
guys,
I'm always
this is right.
murdering people. Like, this is
okay,
just
that could be
commonplace.
Right,
you know?
that is true. A little too.
Probably it.
Anyway, Deception,
There you go.
Murder, Hong Kong.
All right, my number 25. I'm going to consider this one a crossover with Tom, because this is Voyages of Marco Polo. He put Marco Polo 2, the Marco Poloing or whatever it's called.
Marco.
They're very much the same game, and give or take, I could put either one in
one
this
helped you
spot.
I totally myself out.
Both of the Marco Polo games are dice placement games. I really love. You roll dice and then you take different actions. The idea is that you need to explore around on that map, because there's points associated with exploring different regions and stuff. But every region you go to also becomes a new worker placement spot that only the people who have traveled to that route can go on. And those spots are so very fun. And once again, I think things I really like in games, as Wendy pointed out, I love different setup variability, but I also love over the course of the game becoming more powerful and unique from each other.
And you
that-
like player powers.
and I like player powers. This game, I should also mention, has some of the most super cool player powers. Every single one of them. Like one of them, this is a dice play. You roll dice and you put them out on different actions depending on the strength of the die. One of the player powers is don't roll your dice. You get to choose what they are.
Oh,
Seems
wow.
good.
And somehow that's
Sounds
not
broken.
somehow
yeah,
that's
I like
not
that.
wildly overpowered compared to the other ones. They did a great job with these. I really love them. So that's my number 25. The Voyages of Marco Polo / Marco Polo 2, the Wrath of Khan.
This didn't make it on my list, but it's a very good game.
It's really good. Yeah, love this
I don't
whole
think I made it on
Italian
the list.
design troupe and the stuff that they make.
Now it's going to be on my
I
list.
think when you first told me about this one, you explained it as like, if every character is broken, then like every character player power is broken, then it works. You know, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I really like that idea. Yeah, that's really cool. My 25, if you were going to typecast me, this one would probably not come to mind. But I love it for its engine building and decisions. And this is Fantastic Factories. This is probably one of my, definitely not my favorite solo game, but one of my go-to solos. It's not just solo, so you can play it with multiple as well, which is fine. But I really like the solo is very simple in this and really interesting. So you're buying cards and hiring people in order to make a factory in which you're rolling dice and allocating to them to trigger special effects, and ultimately trying to build a really efficient engine in order to get points. And I really like the combos that you can set up in this, and again that engine that you can set up, and having to, you think you're going to build a certain engine, but then your dice don't roll the way you need, so you're trying to adapt to it as well. All in a very smooth and really intuitive kind of way. It's very simple in the actions you can take and in the iconography, and I think it's just a really, really smooth, simple engine building with different paths that you can go in that engine. And again, I think Roy mentioned it before, like I like games where it has that luck and it's that, but you have that high level of mitigation as well, and this game just checks all those boxes for me. So I really enjoy Fantastic Factories.
Really cool. I got to try
stuff.
this recently, and I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just smooth.
Nice. My number 25 is World's Fair 1893. This is an area control game, but you're placing out little cubes and you're collecting cards from those spaces, and cards kind of get displayed. You put a few cards out every round in a circle, and so you have this choice of, do I want to put more cubes in this area because I can then sell that color resource if I have majority there. I can sell a lot of them. Or do I want to go in an area that has lots of cards so that later I have lots of cards to sell of different colors in different regions. So it's a very interesting little balancing game. Balancing game there. And there's just a lot of funness going on there. There's also cards that have like special powers, or maybe you can put an extra cube just in green. Like you don't have to go there, but whenever you go and you play a card, you put something down, and then you get an extra in green. There's just some cool stuff going on. It's very clean. It's very simple, and we've played this for years. Like it's just been in our collection for a long time, and I love it. I like it. What's going on?
It's an area majority game that works well at 2 all the way up to 4.
Yeah.
That's one thing that differentiates it for me.
Yeah, just good stuff. So that's 25, World's Fair.
My number 25 is a cooperative game, a space game that I played with Mike and Chris, and it was a blast to play, and this is Unsettled. Yeah. This is a game that is space-themed, and it's very, I guess, mechanical in what you're doing in the game, but there's a lot of story and theme as you're landing on these different planets, whether it's a fungus planet or like a desert planet, or like just all sorts of different planets that you have that you can play the game through, and that gives you different feels and flavors in the game, and you're having to cooperate very heavily to be able to do the tasks at hand. Like different objectives will show up, and you have to try to figure out how to best manipulate all the players on the board to kind of pull those actions off, and the whole time trying to like maintain your actions, because your actions are kind of like you have action dice that are going to spin down, and you have to try to rest and get those action dice so you can do them more efficiently over and over again. But people are going to have slightly different powers that they're going to be triggering, and it's like, okay, well this time I'm not really going to be able to move as much. I'm going to be able to do this to try to like research this technology, because we really need to get this technology so we can build that location and that sort of stuff, and trying to figure out how to all work together the best to do all the different objectives you need for the game, and sometimes having time to do the cool anomalies to get even more powers to utilize to do cool things. So Unsettled is a blast to play, and I really want to dig into this game even more because there's so many boxes and planets that I haven't played for this game. I'm really excited to check all of that stuff out. So
I think this one is one too, like as you build up and you get those anomalies and you're feeling powerful as you go through, but yet there's still always more that you want to do, and so it's never like I don't have enough actions, but it's like, but how do I do everything, and how do we cooperate and everything? You're saying, yes.
And the story and the flavor that and the writing in this game is just really fun and silly, and just help. I mean, it's very lighthearted, so it helps bring the silliness of this campy sci-fi to life, So it's a lot of fun.
Gosh, why don't we play together more, Roy?
It'd be fun. It'd be fun. Unsettled, my number 25.
All right, number 24 is the reason that we don't play together more, and because this is Grand Austria Hotel.
All right, I'm leaving.
Crossover!
I'm just kidding.
4 years ago when I did my top 100 list, my number 24 was also Grand Austria Hotel. This game has some real staying power. And like I said, I think that
Some real stank power.
some staying
sounded like.
power. like I said, I think this is one you might enjoy because of the theme of being a hotelier is really cool, and you collect different colored guests.
Okay.
Chris's dream job, working at a
Your last pick
hotel.
was Fantastic Factories, right?
It was.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
So
That's fair. I'll listen.
yeah, this
for
isn't
2
like
more
a
seconds.
brutal theme. It's just intuitive, and there's always a lot of fun stuff you can do with the dice draft. There's enough pressure to keep it going, but also there's enough variety of what you can do on a turn that it's always just fun. I'm going to grab this die. I'm going to do this here. There's a huge stack of 4s to get it. When you draft a die, if there's more of that same number, you get to take it as a stronger action. Just things like that that make it so much fun. That's why that's my number 24 pick, Grand Austria Hotel, and one of the greatest covers ever illustrated in board games.
And most exciting themes, apparently, we've been told.
Tom has
fancy.
upgraded pieces, so instead of cubes, I think.
Does he have strudel?
I think he has little strudels and little
He has
coffee
strudel.
cups. I think.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Thank you.
Little
Thank
more
you.
interested.
Yeah.
Little more interested. All right. Well, my number 24 is actually exciting. It is Cthulhu Death May Die.
No, it's not actually exciting.
It is so exciting.
Madness.
So good. So you're fighting Cthulhu. It's cooperative. You're going through and trying to overcome the Cthulhu mythos and complete some objective. And there's a lot I could say about this, but pretty much it's just so exciting. It's
I think
always
he's
fun.
just trying to shake that guy's hand.
No, he's trying to cut it off. He's trying to shake it so he
Shake
can.
it.
Honestly,
Cool.
honestly,
Yeah.
those
So
guys
good.
you should probably just run from.
Don't judge me.
Actually, no, yeah, but it is a good balance of. I think that brings up a good point, Roy. In this game, I really like that balance of when do you run versus when do you go fight. When do you prioritize the objective versus prioritizing taking out some guys so you don't get overrun. And so it's just really interesting decisions and trying to balance so many different things as you're going through here. And oh my gosh, and it's so. I want to say satisfying, but also like terrifying when you have to like bring out this, and the Mother Lord is out, and you're bringing out the big minis, and it's just nasty, and the house sets on fire, and so you're trying to maintain that, and just, it's a really interesting story. It's really cool minis. It's really grandiose and difficult and requires cooperation, and I really, really get excited about this game.
I couldn't tell.
No.
Tom keeps saying that we're gonna play the scenario with the giant Cthulhu sometime. That would be a blast to play.
Yes, dibs on that gameplay.
That Roy painted.
That's gigantic.
The next game. Wait, are you serious? Is it?
The Game and Talk?
And
Is that a spoiler
Not the
alert?
next one that will air, mind you.
I'm so excited.
But yeah, I really want to play this. I really want to try it.
Chris already made an intro
You
for
haven't
it
played
too,
it?
and it looks really good.
I haven't played it, no,
haven't played
and
it? Okay.
I've heard it's iterative on the others, which I was really impressed by. Like some of the mechanisms flow over, so I'm very excited to try it.
I'm
It's
pretty
harsh.
excited
It's
about this
brutal.
one.
Like,
It really is.
you're just gonna lose, but it's
Oh,
fun.
okay.
I won once.
Good luck with that.
I really did, and I'm pretty sure I played most of the rules right.
You missed a rule.
Most likely.
But did you shake Cthulhu's hand?
No, I cut it
Tentacle
off.
thing.
No. You do not know how to approach Cthulhu. You do not shake his hand.
Hey, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, okay?
No.
It's not till he
No.
actually tries to kill
Nobody
me.
gets any benefit. I stab.
Cosmic entities get a pass.
24. Cthulhu Death May Die.
All right, well, my 24 is significantly less thematic and a lot more dry and a lot more tracky. So this is Hansa Teutonica. And did you already, was this on your list yet?
No,
Well, I think
and it
it will
won't
be.
be.
I think
Yeah,
I
right.
think it will be.
It won't.
Chris and I have been
It's too
working
beige.
through the big box together recently of this. And we have one more map to do, one more map to try, I think. And at some point, we'll get a third person to play. This is one that it's terrible at 2. There is a 2-player variant. It's awful. It's terrible. So this doesn't come to the table as much as I want it to. It's a great game. So what you're doing is you're building routes, but it has really cool positive interaction where, let's say I put 2 little cubes down on my routes. And then Camilla wants to come in, and she's like, well, I really want that route because that'll level up in action.
I say that
so
often.
she bumps out my cubes all the time. It happens. No, she bumps out my cubes, and I, instead of just like losing them, I then get to move them and add more cubes on the board. It's so exciting. I like cubes. And I like that.
But wait, there's also discs.
Oh, there are circle discs, which you get twice as many cubes if you move a circle disc. So it's awesome. I do really like this game. But it's got this very cool engine building that's going on.
You're selling it. I love it.
You're trying really hard, and we appreciate it.
Hey, I come after you every single time. Camilla's like, Cthulhu, killing, murder. And I'm like, cubes? pushing around tracks.
No, I think that's good. It's good. It's variety.
That's awesome. But I love the engine building that goes on here. You get to choose what you want to focus in. Do I want more action so that later I can build up on other things? Or am I going to go ahead and stick with just like maybe 2 or 3 actions, but really build up other parts of my board, you know, where I can get some extra end game scoring points that I can really connect stuff on the board. Like there's so many choices and so many things to do in this game, and the interaction, like I said, is super positive, and I love that. You never feel like, oh my gosh, you're preventing me from doing stuff, but instead it's, oh, you're in my way, so I have to give you a little something to, you know, to get you out of my way so that I can then get what I want. And so I really like it. Absolutely love it. That's Hans and Teutonica number 24.
Someone in the comments said I might like this, and Chris has not recommended it to me. So, 2 things going for it.
Based on you as a shallow gamer, yeah. I mean, it looks terrible and stuff, but
I mean, it's cubes,
but you know,
and discs.
it's delightfully interactive.
Variety.
My 47 is Aquatica. I really enjoy Aquatica. I really enjoy
You are
the fact
uncomfortably good at this game.
I really like Aquatica. I love the hand management in Aquatica. It has that Concordia style. Why are you laughing so much, Chris?
47.
You said 47.
I don't know. It's a number.
This next one, the next one he wants to talk about. Who's counting?
This is the one I'm talking about. I got so lost.
counting.
I needed a helpline for cubes, honestly. Like, my brain just went out the window.
Wendy has a track for that. She
Positive interaction. I will help you if you give me 2
borrow one of her
cubes.
cubes.
24 is
She'll help you.
Aquatica. I enjoy Aquatica. I love the hand management, and I love the fact that like you're playing these cards and trying to figure out the best order to play them in. There's all these really cute little mana ray tokens that you can use
so
to get
cute.
little bonuses. It's like, okay, I need a couple extra coins to be able to buy this guy. I got this. Now I have this person. But you're trying to build basically up all the different like locations, and you're putting them into this really unique board that you're kind of sliding them up, and you can kind of combo together those actions of sliding these things up. Certain things will let you use them, and when you use them, then you get this other action. You can do this and this and this, and there's a lot of kind of like almost pseudo engine building in that stuff with all the combos you can kind of do, and you're all trying to just try to score things quickest on the board up there. And there's a lot of cool ways to score those cards. Once you get them all the way up, then you can stash them. There's just a lot of cool things that you can do to combo together things in this game. I've had a blast playing it, and it's just really fun. So
I've played this a few times. I feel like it should be higher on my list than it is, and so I don't know what it is about it that it's not higher. But I really like it. It's almost like the game was too short.
really,
The last few times we played base game, because we're like, oh, it's been a while since we played. We'll pull out base game, and it goes really, really fast.
Yeah, and so
I think the
want to
expansion can
enjoy
help.
it more. I want to.
Maybe.
So I don't know. Yeah.
I think it also depends on who you're playing with and how hard they're pushing those endgame scores up there. Like, are they really? Because I tend to get caught up and not going for that score quick enough because I try to get caught up in just building this engine, having the perfect. I'm not going to combo anything until I have the perfect combo.
Yeah, because that's the fun part.
And
is
so,
that,
right.
and so the end game just kind of ends.
Right,
so
and so it might be like, guys, slow down, hold on, I'm not quite done yet, you know. But again, I think that's what brings the tension to it, is that you know, encroaching end game, and you kind of see it coming and trying to catch up, but also maintaining your engine. So
you got to do both.
Yes,
But it's good.
and like I
It's
said,
a
you
lot
are ridiculously good.
Absurdly
at this
good,
game.
yes.
Like uncomfortably, some might say. And again, I am some.
I enjoy it. I enjoy the hand play of the cards and stuff like that, and making all that stuff work.
Yes,
Roy
it's really
is
good.
a machine. He's actually an android, and that's why he could win this game every time.
In space, Aquatica.
The space
My
water,
not
underwater
47,
space,
24.
You know, underwater kind of is like space. Like, I feel like a lot of themes that will do space can also do underwater.
It's like the two
very
extremes, right?
similar.
It's
Yeah,
like
like,
the-
you don't have oxygen, everything floats. Like, yeah.
Okay, Roy, I would not have been laughing so hard at you for saying 47. I was going to let it go, but I looked over and Mike just mouths at me. He goes,
Oh yeah, Mike's Mike's face once again from the side.
Once
below.
again, my
Camera.
brain was melted.
oh, okay,
All I can
let's,
see are Mike's feet. So
let's move away from cubes for a little bit here. My number 23 is a fantastic auction game. My favorite one is called For Sale. This was at one point number 39, and it's moved up for me from 4 years ago. I think because this is such a great lunchtime game. If you work like a boring accounting job, for example,
nobody would ever do that.
and you want to introduce games to your coworkers, this one's so good and fast. The theme of flipping houses works so well with it because you're auctioning around in a really cool, unique style where if you're playing 4 players, there's 4 things up for auction, and they're all getting sold off in the same auction. So you're not doing them one at a time. So that first half of the game is super zippy. You're basically creating a hand of cards, in the second half doing a simultaneous reveal, trying to get bigger and higher value checks for flipping these houses. The theme makes it easier to teach. The two phases of the game are very intuitive and just super fun. If you can get a copy of this game, I really recommend it. It's great. It goes up to 6 players. Highly recommended if you're looking for the higher player count, 5 or 6 people. Fantastic, whether it's a filler game or you could play this 2, 3, 4 times in a row. I always have fun with it. For sale, my number 23.
I want to say this was probably, if I did a top 10 like biggest surprises, this would probably be on that one. I was really surprised at how much I liked this game. I don't think it'll ever be on a top 100 for me,
Okay.
but definitely went in and was like, fine, and I was really surprised by how much I like it. So I think even this is one that can appeal to people who don't typically like this kind of games, even and it just has a wide appeal, I'd say.
I feel like it's very straightforward for an auction game.
Right.
There's not a lot
That's
that
true.
you have to like know and balance and stuff. You're just like, oh, this is a level of this property. I know what that is.
Higher numbers, good. Everybody can intuitively,
Yeah.
like, oh, this is 27. That's a pretty good card.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Nice. Oh, I forgot
Love
what was next. Okay. My 23 is another survival game with a mission. It's another cooperative. Wow, I have a lot of cooperative in this one. Today's the day of cooperation. My number 23 is Subterra. This is one of the very, very early games I played. I actually just finished painting it too. It's so good. But I love the thematics in this game of going through a cave and you're running into different horrors, which are these baddies that are going to come and try to kill you, but you're also trying to just get out alive, and it's very rare that you have all of your people get out alive. So it has they're interesting decisions where it's like, all right, so-and-so's injured. I can run back and heal them. Or we just leave them and we all just book it out, And so it really is a balance of trying to do a lot of different things and get as many people out as you can, but really struggling with how to get everybody there and making those hard choices. Like, okay, do we go back and get them? Is it worth it? Is it not? Because we want them. We want them in order for their special power. You got to have the medic, right? We can't leave our medic. But we also can, because I want to win. And we need to get over there somewhere so you
still win
see
with
this.
leaving people behind in this game?
You can, yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's like a ranking system of how many people get out. and I love it. The tension is once your flashlight's kind of losing batteries as well, represented by this deck that you're turning over each round. And so once you get your flashlight out of batteries, then it's a die roll each time. So you can keep going, and you don't know when the end game is, but you see it getting a lot harder and harder and harder. I played a lot of this with my son. I haven't played with him since we moved here really, but before we moved I played a lot with him up there, and he loves this game at Halloween, and so we always pull it out and we'll play the full thematics, dim the lights, get some black lights out there. It's very immersive in the theme, and one of the things that genuinely can creep me out. It's so much fun. I really enjoy Subterra and getting into the theme. That those decisions that you have to make, those tough decisions. Anyway.
Let that be a lesson for you. Don't go spelunking with Camilla. She will leave you behind.
This is one that I really wanted to play. Every time it gets brought up, I'm like, man, I really want to play this. I've just never.
Well, I just finished painting it. I haven't played it. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't even talk. I just finished painting
Only
it.
if there's a black light involved.
Yes, I will make it happen, and we'll
Let's do
play
it.
it. It'll be so. Oh, and Chris is invited too, apparently. So it's happening.
But not me. No, Chris and I played a pre-production copy of number 2 version of this,
Yeah.
which I guess never came out.
It still
I know
hasn't
it was a
come out
Kickstarter.
yet.
Yeah.
So it's
To clarify, yes.
But
Yeah.
it was
right.
quite a few years ago, and so yeah.
So you haven't played the first one either?
No, we've only played the second
I
one.
was just kidding. Yeah, you could totally play. We will definitely do again with a black light.
Yeah, of course.
Good. Painted horrors. All the horrors
I'll
are
bring my
bloody.
Pink Floyd, stoner black black light posters
Do you
and
really?
stuff. No, I wish I had some. That'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
cool.
That. Okay.
I
Sorry.
don't know what this
Someday.
has devolved
Someday.
into.
Yes.
Yeah. We're gonna listen to
Nobody
Dark Side of the Moon. Let's keep going.
All right, well, I have another boring game to follow up after Camilla, but I really like this one. This is Teotihuacan.
It's not a boring game. It's just
It's beige.
beige.
It's thematic.
It's just interesting to you.
I was expecting you to say it's not. I was expecting you to genuinely say it's not boring. It's thematically challenged.
Yeah. I was trying to.
Oh, I like
I was
that.
trying to
I
get
like
some way
that.
to not
No.
sound condescending.
Hey, it's got
I
a cool
can't. I'm
pyramid
sorry.
in the middle, right?
Wendy doesn't even try to sell her games anymore. She's just like, nah, that's the thing.
I know what I love. I don't have to. I don't
Own
have to
it.
prove anything
Own it.
to
I
you
love it.
all.
You don't. No,
I'm sorry,
you don't at all.
100%
Please
not.
don't.
No, Chris loves Teotihuacan. He loves it. Is it? Did you already have this
You're
one?
not
Dennis?
boring, Chris. I promise.
It's not yet been said out of my mouth.
Okay.
Cryptic.
So anyways, I love this game. You're moving around in this little like circle, rondelle-ish, whatever, doing action spaces. But the dice are really cool. I appreciate when there's unique ways to use dice. And so you have a set amount of dice and you're moving them around, taking actions, and they're all kind of on the board. But the level of the action depends on what level your die is, and certain actions upgrade dice. And so they get stronger and they get stronger until they ascend, and you get like some cool bonus, and they start back over at 1. Like it's very cool how that works. And if you look at the little actions that show there, there's totally spreadsheets in this game. Like the action spaces are spreadsheets. If you have, you know, a level 1 and a level 3. A level 1 and a level 3 die, you always go with the lowest die, and then you see like, oh, I have 2 dice at a level 1 value because that's the lowest, and then I get these resources, and so you're trying to level up your dice so you can ascend them, but you also want them to be high together so you can get really cool stuff, and there's powers and there's tracks, and there's just, it's lovely. It's so lovely.
This isn't the gear one, is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this
This
is
is like
the-
a follow-up to the Gear one.
Oh,
basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Is that one showing on?
But
I'll
anyways,
say the
I
comments.
love this. Absolutely love Teotihuacan, and I'm sure Chris would have a lot more to say about it.
I would if it were
No.
on my list today.
Anyways, that's my number 23, Teotihuacan.
My number 23 is a game with mashing and smashing and monsters and fighting and blowing things up, and that is Nexus Ops. This is a crossover with Chris. This is a game where you just have these different these like alien creatures and different units that you're basically just trying to fulfill different objectives, and you're exploring out a little bit, flipping over stuff, maybe getting a free rock strider that you can jump on your opponents with, and you're trying to have your guys in different territories to be able to take stuff over. Different units get different bonuses depending on where they're at. You can run towards the middle and get extra bonus cards to be able to have cool things for combat, and of course you're just trying to complete those different objectives. I like the fact that like as you control more areas, you get more resources that allow you to build more units, which I just like games that like this allow you to build all sorts of different kinds of units. Like, oh, this time I'm gonna build a rock strider, but I got enough to build the dragon guy. I'm gonna build him out there. You know, that sort of stuff is really exciting for me. And you get to roll dice and smash each other in the face, and you know, just like you do with all the cubes and
Is
stuff.
this getting added to your Black Light Night?
I don't actually have that version of the game.
We
used
do.
to. Oh, you do? That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I took those pictures actually.
Black Light Night for Nexus Ops.
I just added it to my want to play list here. So
It's a lot of fun.
Black
and it's really easy
All
to
right, now I'm
play
not
and
coming
really
to the
quick
Black
play.
Light Night because this is on the list.
We did it! Oh,
I'm
sorry.
playing it on my phone. Be like, y'all do that. I'm just gonna occupy myself.
Anyway, Nexus Ops, my number 23.
All right, number 22 is a crossover with Wendy. Very unsurprisingly, this was once my number 30, World's Fair 1893. This game keeps moving up for me because I love area majority as a mechanism, and I love it when it works for 2 players.
And you love cubes.
And I love cubes. I admit I'm not ashamed to own my cubes. But also it works really great with 3 and 4 players. The competing goals of wanting to put your cube into a space where you'll get the majority, but it doesn't have as many good cards out in it, versus putting your cube out into a space that has piled up a bunch of cards is great. I love that counterbalance. Every time you grab cards, you start dealing cards out in kind of a circle pattern. So a few of the spaces around it start building up again. So it's always interesting because there's always great cards coming out every time. I think that it's a charming game. I love the historical flair to it. And the thing that you didn't mention yet is that every single card has different history facts about the World's Fair on them.
It's true.
So there's never functionally any downtime because other people are taking the turns. I'm just like reading through my cards. Ooh, what's that
That's
card?
how I'm going to sell every game for that. There's no downtime because you can read the flavor text,
Because
guys.
you can learn.
Great, yes.
I love it, but I also know that I'm a history nerd, and I am willing to own my cubes. So, number 22, World's Fair, 1893.
This is one that was distracting for me when it's like, because there's a card I want versus a really juicy selection, you know, and it's like, do I be responsible? Or, yeah, so this is one that
All choices are responsible choices.
it was very, very temptuous.
World's
when it was my
Fair,
turn.
place cubes responsibly.
Temptuous.
Yes, there is. All right, this is my last cooperative game for today.
That's what I'm saying. No way.
My number 22.
No way.
I know. Yes. This is a crossover as well. Forgotten Waters.
Ooh,
I love this
nice.
game, and I want to find your voice on there. So I need to play more of it. And
I don't even know
try
what they all
different
are.
ways.
So hidden. Were you a parrot or something?
Yes, they have you squawk.
Squawk. I need to find the squawking boy.
I'm
Right. I don't know what else we can say about this that we haven't said. I love the idea of it's definitely cooperative, but it's selfishly cooperative at the same time as you're trying to take that action that you really want. Everything's going to help, but it's like, this is going to help the team, but also I get what I want out of it, and I don't want to have to feed the workers because that's the worst spot out there, and as you're trying to decide which way to go on your ship and following the storyline and picking up clues in the storyline, it's got great narration. I think the website integration, it's a website, not an actual app. But I think that works really well, so it's a very smooth gameplay. I really like, too, throwing my pencil, I really like too that in this game they have a really good halfway point, and it's obviously like when you're halfway, and so that kind of like save function in it, because it can get long, but you don't sacrifice, because it has that save function. You don't sacrifice the big overlying story. I'm glad they didn't try to shrink it down into just like a 2-hour session. It's like, no, we're going to make a 4 to 5 hour game and give you a good saving point. That's clearly, when you're at that halfway point, and you kind of make that decision on how everyone's feeling. I think that's really, really well done. Yes, selfish cooperation. That's this game, and I love it.
Awesome.
We've said so much good about it.
Absolutely
agree.
it's really good.
Good stuff there. All right, my number 22 is a kind of like grayish beige-ish. I think we can go there. Grayish beige. Grayish is Concordia. Chris already talked about this. The lady with the terrible grape hand going on. But this game is very cool. There's a lot going on. Ooh, that's a better picture than I thought I had.
Really,
nice.
Ooh.
That's blue.
Color.
Right. But the card play of this is very interesting, and a lot of people reference this when they talk about card games where you play cards down, like you play one card at a time until you're ready to pick your cards back up. Then you play the pick up cards card, and then you pick all your cards up and you can like play them over again. And you're kind of building that hand of cards throughout the game and making it stronger so that you can do stronger versions of actions, or you can just play more actions, more of that same kind of action within that row of playing cards. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this game that's very cool. I enjoy the way that the map works and how you're interacting with everybody, and you're trying to build up cities. And so there's this kind of engine building fact of like, if I build stuff in a lot of like silk areas, then every time that I flip over the silk tile, I get that many silks as well as the tile that I flipped over. Like there's just a lot going on there. I enjoy the hand management. And I don't care that it's not the prettiest because it's awesome.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah. 22, Concordia.
My 22 is a crossover with Camilla, but it's not on her list yet.
What?
And
You
I'm
don't know.
not quite
Don't
sure how high it
assume
is, but it's
to
going
know
to be
my list.
really, really high.
You don't know anything about me.
Just watch. This is Project Elite. Project Elite is a fun, fast-paced, real-time game where you're smashing and blowing up all sorts of different alien baddies in real time. And one of the really cool things about this game is that it feels like Escape the Curse of the Temple, but blowing stuff up as you go along. So it's like chuck dice, blow things up. Things get messed up, but the funny thing is, like, instead of having a die that gets like stuck, you have a die that makes you move the bad guys. But that can kind of be good sometimes if you have a short range weapon. You're like, oh, I'll move this bad guy into me, and then kill it, and then move this bad guy into me, and then kill it, and then move this bad guy into me, and then it's like they just
so
keep
efficient.
coming towards you. It's just so much fun, and it's very frenetic and fast paced, and you're trying to complete objectives. Let's all surround this thing. Get here. We gotta roll the right die. We gotta do it. We're running out of time, and then the time goes out, and then more bad guys come out, and more bosses come out, and you're like, no, and then you just have to fight those guys off too. It's a blast to play. It's always extremely exciting and extremely fast-paced.
Yes.
As Project Elite.
Yes, and I love that idea of, in the middle of the round, you'd be like, guys, I need more people towards me. I'm not moving. And so it's like, move these guys. You're like, all right. And then next thing you know, someone jumps in your way, and you're like, get out of my way. I can't go through you.
Or you're like, the round's about to end. Stop moving them towards me.
Just stop rolling.
People are like, I'm just going to move these guys. You're like, stop it. Calm down. Like, pay attention to what you're doing. I don't know. It's a blast.
It's
a blast.
so good.
I think a testament to how good this game is that I've only played it at 6 players, which has a lot of upkeep card play in between the real-time phases.
Yeah.
And I still really enjoy it.
Right.
And I think that I would enjoy it more playing it with smaller player count just so that the in-between stuff is a little bit quicker. Okay, only put out a few cards, a few Baus cards. Let's go. You know?
I want to say four is probably my favorite way to play. What do you?
I've played it. I've played it at 2 and 4, and I mean, I think 4 is really good.
Yeah,
so.
I think 4 is really, really good. So I think, well, I'll gush maybe about this later. Never mind. Good,
I just
good
know
pick,
that
Roy.
You know nothing, Cannaday.
I just know that I cheated a lot during the first real-time scenario because I was like, oh, I can move, I can't move. I
She just kept
wasn't
taking
supposed
the
to
models
do.
off. She wasn't even rolling the dice. Nobody's watching.
This game's really
Roy's
easy.
like, "What's happening on the
Move,
floor?"
shoot.
We still almost didn't win, so it was like,
my
it was okay. That I cheated a lot, maybe.
It's a blast.
It was
Project
so much
Elite.
Alrighty, wrapping up this chunk of the list. I gotta go beige, I gotta go cubey, I gotta go beige, I gotta go cubes in Hansa Teutonica.
Gotta go Hansa.
I included the big box version, which is the better looking cover, because oh my gosh, that original cover was very unfortunate.
But it did include all of the mechanisms in the cover.
There's like keys over there. Oh, there's a keys mechanism. Oh, there's bread on his plate. Oh, there's a bread plate mechanism.
All those
Anyway,
bags.
it's so weird. But this game is fantastic. The big box version gave a nice little overhaul to the art of the cover, but not to any of the components or the boards or anything. However, I think what's amazing about this game, to everything Wendy has said is absolutely correct. A lot of positive player interaction, just like with Concordia. There's ways that players, work with each other in good ways, not just, oh, I got there first and stuff. But this game does a lot with very little. You have cubes on a little escritoire board. Escritoire. It's a desk, but the rule book calls it an escritoire. So I definitely always use the right words when
this
playing
game
Euro
is
games.
Theme.
Yeah, I don't just call them cubes and discs. They're merchants and traders, but I don't remember which one's which. But the fact that you just have this board with some cubes on it, and then you put some cubes into the central board, and you can bump each other out, and you can try to complete routes and stuff. There's a lot of tension, there's a lot of development and growth, and becoming stronger in your various actions with so little. This game takes like 2 minutes to set up.
That's nice.
It is just a very quick teach. There's only 5 actions that you do in the whole thing. This is one of those pure games that does a great job of always giving you plenty of options and lots of tension without there being a ton of rules overhead. I think that is why I really love this game.
It also plays
Simplicity.
really well at a higher player count.
That's true. That's true. This
It's
is a
one of those
fantastic
that
Like
Like
4,
five.
6. Okay.
Like it'll go to 5, and it's still like a clean, good game.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Hansa Teutonica, my number 21. I'm not even really going to try to sell you on it.
You don't
because-
have to.
Yeah.
Who am I? What do I? You don't have to, Chris.
Yeah, I am not going to try it.
Someone in the chat actually thought that you would like it because
Yeah.
you can totally just get in everybody's way in the game. Like that's a
Oh.
legit strategy that you can just be like,
Oh.
I'm gonna put my cube because I see you want to finish this route. I'm gonna put my cube over here because you want to finish that route. I'm just gonna get in your way and you're just gonna give me more cubes.
And it's not punishing. Like I will
Yeah.
bump you out, but you just get a small little
You just
benefit
get more
for.
bonus.
So you
for
just get to
that.
be like a really annoying player.
Yeah, but like
In theory, you could.
So
yeah.
Chad thinks
And
you're
you get-
annoying, is what I just heard.
Fantastic. Yeah, I do not disagree. All right. Number 21 for me is probably the biggest surprise. I liked this game originally and was willing to give it a try just because of the theme and the look, but I thought mechanically this is pretty much the epitome of what I do not like in games.
but it's 21.
It's 21. I know, like I said, this one
Wow.
shocked me.
Scrabble.
No.
She loves board games. They're her favorite.
My number 21 is Radlands. Oh, so it's got this post-apocalyptic theme going on, and it's these bright colors with you can see, look at that, just like it's in your face, and the cards are so oversaturated, gruesome. He has a blood bank in it, right? And there's like this guy on a table, and it's like he's hooked up to this machine. Anyway, check out the cards. They're really cool. And because of that, I wanted to try it, and it's a 2-player head-to-head game where you're just trying to you have 3 different bases and you're trying to defend them and setting out different characters. And I didn't think I would like this. Actually, my first gameplay of this, I was like enraged. And typically, like when I rage in games, it's like, I hate this game. I never want to play it again. But this one surprised me because I was so angry. I spent so much water as the resource, and I spent so much water getting this one card out. And the very next turn, that guy was killed. And I was like so mad. I was like,
I get angry
how
in this game.
dare you? I was so angry. And typically that's like the end for me, but I was like so angry, and then I was like, all right, let's do it again. We're doing it again, which is not like me at all. And so in my second play, so I think because I was able to see the I guess inefficiency of my strategy and how to use those more powerful characters and protect them. And so again, it's just one that I think is very left field for me. Admittedly, the shallow gamer in me was still willing to try for that because of those things that I liked in it. And it really surprised me that I didn't rage quit this game or rage burn this game. I rage tried again this game, and it made it all the way up to 21. I really, really like it.
Good
I really
for
like it.
you.
So number 21, Radlands.
I really need to play this game, so
Yes.
I just never
It
played
seems like
Yeah.
your style for sure.
Yeah.
I
I
will
think so.
happily get demolished by you at any time. It's a good game. It's one I like a lot for this genre, and I think because it does away with so many of the keyword soup that a lot of these
Right.
head-to-head card battles usually have. Even Dice Throne has
It is
that,
cleaner in that
but
way, yeah.
it's really clean.
And you still have those multi-use cards, so those good decisions of like, am I going to use this for the ability or for the card draw or for the water, and so just
Gotcha.
some really
Cool.
good decisions. Roy, I think you would like this one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would you say there's decision space here? You haven't used that term so far today.
I haven't used decision space. That's
don't
because
think you
today is all
have.
about like,
About monster space.
About monster space, yeah.
Straightforward
Death
decisions.
space,
There's
fire
decision
space.
Right.
space,
I mean,
yeah.
there is some decision space in this. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, there's really still only one way to win, and not multiple paths and that kind of stuff. But yeah, some good decisions.
I just remember I felt like I was constantly like, oh no, Chris is attacking me. All I'm doing is like undoing what he did.
Right, and that's a lot of it. I mean,
Yeah.
there is a
you gotta
lot
get
of
that
that.
tempo back.
Whew, whew, whew.
It's good.
I'm a musician. I don't know what tempo is. Okay, my number 21 is a crossover with Chris, and that is Furnace. This is once again. I have not had a single pretty game on my list so far today. World's Fair was like maybe it had the most color, but Furnace. This is such a great game, and what's interesting about it is the auction with those little discs that you see in that picture. Is everyone has a 1 through 4, and whoever has the highest. Or you just place them on cards one at a time, and whoever has the highest gets that card, and everybody else gets the little ability on top of the card. And that's often resources, or maybe you can trade something in for another resource or something like that. But this is all about taking resources and trading them to get more resources that you can then trade in to get more resources. And it's this cool little like machine that you're making. I mean, I guess we're a factory is the theme of it, so that makes sense. We're just trading all this stuff, but I love that auction mechanism that you oftentimes want to fail, and so sometimes you feel like you're pushing your luck of like, ooh, do I put my lowest numbers on here, or do I put a slightly higher number because I know I'm probably not going to win this card, and I think Chris really wants it, so I'm going to put one of my kind of medium-high numbers so that I can for sure guarantee that I get these other resources and fail this auction. It's fascinating how you're like trying to fail things, but also trying to win cards because the cards are the thing that let you get points eventually and trade stuff in. But I really like the game. The dude in the top hat is totally okay to me. I know Chris like super digs that picture. It's fine. But yeah, number 21.
He's a dapper gent.
Furnace. He's dapper.
Urgent.
Roy,
It's fine.
what's stopping you from looking like that? Probably color.
The dapper or the
Skin
gent?
color.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're not as pallid as he is.
Why would I cover up this hair with a hat? Come on.
He makes a
Yeah.
good point.
Don't contain that here, Chris. Don't contain
How
it.
dare you
Can't be
try.
contained. So my number 21 is a game that none of y'all have played, probably never will play. Everybody in chat has probably never played. I didn't take miniatures off my list this year, so this is Rune Wars: The Miniatures Game. I love this game. I'm probably the only one that loves this game, but I really enjoy the way this game
nasty
works.
picture. I love it.
This is a game where basically you have your different units and they're all on kind of like boards, and they kind of like move together as like big block units. The unit building in this game is like really unique. As you build up your different grids of units, you basically they're very different, and the way that they attack and deal damage in the game is really exciting as well. Like The rows across are the amount of dice you roll, like the multiplier of damage you do. So if you roll like one hit and you have one tray, it'll do one hit. If you have two trays, it does two hits. If the more you have, it's going to multiply. And the rows back is how many rerolls you get. So you can help mitigate the luck in the game. There's tons of upgrades you can have for all of your different characters. It's based off like moving with templates. The point structure of the game is like really cool. You're trying to like control different objectives or take out different people. This game is really exciting and tons of different stuff going on. It's all based in the Tyrannoth universe, and it was kind of a flop for Fantasy Flight. It never really went anywhere and never got super big. I guess they wanted it to be like the next Warhammer miniatures game, but it never really kind of reached that height. I went to a ton of tournaments with this game. I had a blast playing it. It was a lot of fun. I feel like I was the only one doing it. But
So you played against yourself in the tournament?
I had one friend who I played with a bunch.
He brought his friend.
There were like
Probably
8 people who'd be at the tournaments, or maybe like 10 or whatever, but we play and we just had a blast playing the games.
Did you min-max it and win every time?
No, I'm actually not that great at like the actual gameplay of the game. I lost all the tournaments I played in, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and I just love the army building in this, and I really love. There's an initiative system as well, so like the units, you can move them at different speeds. Just for a miniatures game, the way that this game works, it has a lot of really smart design ideas and a lot of designs that I really like in that game. And like my game shelf is a 5x5 calyx. The entire top of the calyx is just Rune Wars
Oh,
miniatures
that's
game.
what's up there.
That
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
the entire top
some cool
is
ones up
just
there.
that miniatures game. So, and because it was extremely cheap, because it went out of print and nobody was buying it, so I bought a ton of it. But I really like Rune Wars.
Yeah,
It's a
no
blast
one to play against.
And now you have
I
decorations.
played it with my dad, and I will play it if I ever find someone who is super excited about a miniatures game and wants to just throw it on the table. But it's a lot of fun.
Like
really
I
enjoy
said,
it.
I would be interested in trying this just because it's a realm of games I'm not familiar with.
Right, and the mechanics are very interesting. The whole initiative system of like, okay, I'm going to go at a speed 2 and you're going to go at a speed 4, but you can run up and attack me slower, so maybe I go at a slower speed because then you're going to think I'm going to be there, but then I'm not. There's a lot of like mind games and playing back and forth, which I love in games, and this is the only miniatures game that I've really seen do that. So I wish it did better for them, but I love it. It's still cool, and I have a lot of it, and I'm not getting rid of it.
Nice.
So, Rune Wars, the miniatures game.
That was exciting.
Very cool.
I was very happy with my list.
Yeah,
that
well,
was really
I'm
awesome.
glad that you didn't exclude some of the things like your CCGs and your miniatures games because they're just
Right.
they're
They're
cool
such a
and you
part of
love
you.
them. And
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah.
I'm just ranking stuff, I mean, one thing I didn't put on there is D&D, but I think it would have beaten a lot of things out there just because D&D is so high. If we're doing all of tabletop games. But
Sure, and that's a
D&D is
hard
really
one to kind
good.
of
Yeah, to quantify that.
quantify. Yeah.
It all depends on your DM and your group and
Yeah.
so much.
Just imagine D&D is like my number 5 or something.
Well, very
Alright.
cool, very cool. So
Nice.
we've reached the end of this chunk here. 20 more games to go. A lot of those real favorites still coming.
Yes.
So make sure to check
Oh, I'm
back.
so excited. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was just,
No,
yeah.
I'm
Got really
excited,
excited.
too.
I was like,
You excited about
there's
your
some
own list?
goodies.
No,
I know.
no.
Let me tell you more.
more cubes to come.
Yeah, so the last two sections will be coming up in the next 2 days, noon, on Wednesday and Thursday. But also come back here in an hour and a half if you're watching this live, because we'll be doing shoots and or marbles live here. And then
There might even be some carnage.
that is true. That'll be the last live thing for today. And then, of course, the normal live stuff throughout the rest of this week. So until next time, I'm Chris Yi.
I'm Roy Cannaday.
I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Camilla Cleghorn.
Keep multi-use using those cows.
Move it.